week on purpose because we both have full-time
It's the
engagements.
shit show.
Yeah.
It's the
You know,
shit show.
it's sort of like, as a
show.
realtor too, with an open house, if you schedule it, people are like, oh, it's got to be Sunday and it's got to be from 1 to 3. But if you schedule it on a Saturday from 1 to 2, people are coming if they want to be there.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's what we do.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go. I mean, people figure it out.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not.
it's what I have
I'm
to
not.
remind people about my podcast is it's on every Sunday at 5 a.m. Doesn't mean you have to get up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, it'll be there when the new album drops. They don't take it away.
That's right. It's just
They
there.
don't delete it. It's there.
It's
It's
there.
funny,
It's
dude.
not like that for you. I mean, you have an open house from
No.
1 to 3. It's from 1 to 3.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm not going to change it because you can't make it. Schedule a showing with your
That's
realtor.
it.
If you don't, you know what I mean?
That's it.
My wife's texting me right now. Are you near the fire? I heard a bunch of stuff going on in town, and it's just like, you're sitting there. I was like, are you near the fire? She's at school.
Oh,
Like, no,
man.
I'm not near a fire. I'm good. I'm safe. Mark myself safe from the fire. I guess. I don't know.
Safe
Must be a
from the
big one,
fire. We have to mark ourselves safe from everything now. Do
right?
you remember, just thinking about that? I can tell you right now, this is going to be such a weird conversation because I'm feeling it. But
It's all good.
do you
All
remember
good, man.
during COVID, you would drive by people's houses and there'd be the green signs in the windows? Did you guys have that would say "I'm okay" or "We're okay"?
No,
You didn't have
no.
those? Well,
Uh-uh.
we were in Madison at the
Really?
time, and you would see people would have signs on their doors that would say "We're okay." It
Really?
was really interesting. So
Yeah, no, we never had that at all. Like we had different things going around the neighborhood, like for kids, and like they would do like the stuffed animal bear. I did air quotes. The stuffed animal bear quote, geez, hunt. So like I know, right? It's Friday. My mind is gone. Um, so they'd put these stuffed animals in the windows, and you'd go around and they'd put a list of who was involved, and the little kids would walk with their families and they'd see the stuffed animals in the window and go, oh, I found it. And I don't know if there was a prize. I think it was just something,
that's
for
interesting.
them
That's
to
actually
do. So
interesting. I mean, at least it was something like that got their brain working. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because there was some other mindless
exactly.
stuff that was happening, but no. So I just full disclosure, third time this has happened.
Oh, with
Only
the non-recording.
Yeah, the second time it's happened where it was not recording. The first one was with Ted Cluck, and with Ted, we went on for about an hour and 45 minutes, maybe 2 hours, and I
Oh,
didn't record
geez.
either one of us.
Oh, my
I'd
word.
hit the mute button on both his and mine and
Okay.
record on everything else. So I showed you my room earlier. I've got 4 mics
Yeah.
in here. And the other mics were recording, but the recording didn't pick him up. It picked up a little bit of me, and it was
Okay.
just terrible. So then
That's funny.
with yours, I picked up all of me, and I must have muted you. So right now I'm looking at
Okay.
it. I'm like, okay, I'm recording.
Not muted.
It's happening. It's all.
What do you record that through? Like, what system do you use to record it through?
It's a Tascam Mixcast 4.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's all
Gotcha.
inclusive. It's like it's right around $300, and you get 4 mic inputs plus a USB that's in or out, in and out. You have a cell phone jack, a Bluetooth, and then you have like 64 or 128, I can't remember, pre-recorded sounds I could use. They're really dumb. I mean, they're just like
Yeah.
whistles and clapping and stuff like that. But
That's funny. Like, someone tells a good joke, you can put a clap noise over it
yeah,
or something.
yeah, it's just canned
So
stuff.
so funny.
But then all the stuff that it records with is proprietary towards Tascam Mixcast, and you get a free download of that. So I've got it all in one. So I know it's going to work. I know it's going to be all together. I don't have to go out and find another digital audio, software that might work, might not work. I might understand, might not understand. It's very simple. It's very user friendly. I plugged this in. I was recording within an hour of getting it.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Um,
that's cool.
whereas with other,
Often wondered.
yeah, my first setup was really clunky. I was trying to use an old mixer that had a USB out, but I couldn't find a driver for it. Thankfully, it was
Mm,
Steve Hurd that sold me that. Thankfully, Steve took it back and he was like, "Nope." He said, "That's why I told you not to pay me for it." You know.
yeah.
So then I did a
Oh,
little research. Rode has a product that they have out. That this is kind of what I use is pretty much ripped them off, but this was the one that was cheaper,
okay.
and it had its own mixing software, digital auto recording software. I didn't have to go out and get another product. It was all in
Oh,
one.
nice. Yeah.
Then I used Rode mics and uh, Audio Technica headphones.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
it,
Audio Technica. Those are good record players. That's what
yeah,
we sell.
yeah, yep,
About 300-400 bucks, kind of mid range,
yeah,
for
and
what we do.
and
But
that's what
yeah.
I got. I got like a mid range. It was something that I don't know that audio quality. I'm gonna notice that much difference in what I do. If I was doing like intricate studio musical,
Yeah.
type
You
recording,
would want something better.
I would. But for what I do, I've got a great little setup, and I'm under $1,000 in it.
Yeah, and it's neat that you can do it remotely like this versus,
Yeah,
me. I mean, I love you, brother, but I'm not driving to Indiana, on a Friday
I'm
to
not
do
tearing this all
this.
down, dude.
Yeah,
I'm not tearing it
exactly.
all
Yeah,
down to come find you. You know,
exactly. And if I happen to be in town because I was visiting my family, then I'll swing by.
maybe.
But
Yeah,
otherwise, this works.
come on by,
That's
man.
cool. That's it. Yeah.
You need
You
one. I'm
guys live
telling.
in Hartford, right?
Yeah, we do. We live out at the golf
Okay.
course. We moved
Okay.
back 2 years ago. It's weird that we've been back for 2 years. It doesn't feel like it. The past 2 years have been
Yeah.
very fast.
Yeah.
But I moved back in May, very end of May last in 2022. Jennifer moved
Okay.
a little bit sooner than me. Her job started before mine did. So my assistant principal role ended at Madison um, May 31st of
Okay.
22, and then I started immediately at Oak Hill in June. So I pretty much moved back, started work, and then when my role at Oak Hill ended, it ended the end of May. And just so you know, school teachers and administrators, we work on a contract. So
Yeah.
my contract was X number of days, and it was 260, I believe. No,
Okay.
two something. Um, and I had worked so much in June and July of, the first year I took over the school, that pretty much as soon as the school year was over, I was done because I'd
All
already
right.
worked all my days.
Okay.
But
Did they not renew it, or you decided not to
I
renew it?
decided not to. I had made a decision to go to work with educational furniture in December of
Yeah.
22, and then
Okay.
in March of 23 and let them know, hey, I'm making a move, so they had time to get a principal and make the transition smoother. So
Yeah, that's cool.
it's a weird timing thing, where
Yeah.
I could have let them know a lot earlier, but I think it would have been awkward for all of us at some point. The kids in the
Yeah.
community start knowing what's going on, and a lot of questions, a lot of, there's some dissent that may happen, and um,
Dude, that's like the real estate world. If you're gonna switch companies, it is like top secret.
mhm.
Don't tell someone you're leaving that company. You make the move and then you tell them.
That's so.
It's weird because it's like, you know, I think what people fail to understand, at least from Pennsylvania, like when you sell your house with me, that contract is actually between you and the broker, and I'm
Mm,
just the designated agent to help you. So if I move companies, they don't have to allow you and your house to come with me to my new company. That's why it's top secret. You want to get as much things closed, and hopefully you'll get your commission and you give them referral fee. It's just like, what the hell are we doing here? I've worked
right,
for these people. They don't know you,
right.
but if you play it right, it works out. But I've heard some horror stories where people just get screwed
I'm sure.
out of,
Yeah,
of some
yeah. And
major money.
your work is very similar to what I do. Is the amount of time
Hmm.
that it takes to
Hmm.
to close that deal. And I've got something I've been working on since last November, and
Yeah.
still don't have a closing date on it, and we're
and they can
hundreds of
pull the
thousands.
plug.
Yeah, I mean, there's
We're
hundreds of
done.
thousands of dollars in sales on the line here, and just
Yeah,
after a quick conversation with him yesterday, it was like, man, I'm sorry, I still don't have an answer for you. I'm waiting on this
that's
and this
nuts.
and this to happen, and
Yeah.
you're like, that's all right, man. I said, that's part of it, and that's probably the biggest thing I've struggled with is the amount of time it takes
Hmm.
to close these deals out.
I'm sure those are a few dynamics deep too. You're not just dealing with like I'm dealing with, the buyer or just a seller. Once in a while, a family member, a parent, but you probably have to deal with your point person and then their board and then the administration and all the school boards, I would imagine, the
Yeah,
budgets.
yeah.
Yeah.
Some of Indiana has some different laws that apply to different entities, and then you have boards that have different approaches to it. So like what I'm working with right now is a situation where this school has to have 3 quotes before they can even entertain an offer, and they've
Oh
got
wow.
they've got one from me, a second one in the works, and no idea where the third one's going to come from.
Don't have any friends that can give you one from out of state.
Like I
Yeah.
called it.
Oh, we do that.
I called another guy yesterday, and I'm like, "Hey, look, brother, here's what's going on. What do I do? What do I do? Do you have
Yeah.
anybody you can call?" And he goes, "Well, what if they undercut you? What if they come in lower than you?" I said, "Well,
Right.
I
It is
mean,
what it is.
one way or another, I don't think they will. I'm pretty aggressive with my
Yeah.
pricing, and that's one thing
Yeah.
that's very nice about the company I work for is they allow us to be very aggressive, or it's up to us. It's basically our own business, and
Yeah.
we work it the way we want to. So, but yeah, it's good
That's
times,
cool,
man.
man.
It's
Yeah.
time,
Sales are
time,
yeah, the grind, the
dude.
hours, the phone calls, the emails, and you're like, oh my gosh. But you do it because that's what we love, and it's
Right.
rewarding, and you help people, and I'm sure you work like me. There's 1,600 realtors in my county,
Oh my
right?
god.
It's in freaking sane. So, you know, is there competition? Maybe, but people hire me because they like me,
That's it. That's
you
it.
know, because I come with a wealth of knowledge and I've set myself up for success. I've connected myself intentionally with, you know, like the local community, the chamber, contractors, networking. So yeah, you have to, like, when someone buys a house or selling one, they're always going to need something either before, during, or after, and that's what you have to
That's it.
provide. And I think people fail. Like, nope, I'm going to swoop in there. I'm going to sell them the house. I'm out. See ya. I'm like, no, I got people. I showed a house this morning. This is why we got delayed, because they wanted to see this house, and it was actually the parents of a client that I hadn't talked to for a while. So I need to reach out to them. But I sold their daughter house in 2018.
Hmm.
Um, Husband never even saw the house. He was overseas.
Wow.
And so we kind of I think we did Skype at that time. Was that a thing?
Yeah.
Skype, I
Yeah.
think.
Scott, it's still a
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't use it. But yeah, anyway,
Huh.
just got to, about relationships.
It so is. And that's we talked about that the last time we talked was how important the like, trust, and respect piece comes in. And if they don't
Hmm.
like, trust, and respect you, it's not going to happen. They're going to find
Yeah.
a reason. If you are, if anybody, and I would assume most people are like me, when you go to buy something, there's a big part of you that's looking for any reason for you not to spend that money.
Yeah.
And if it's, oh man, did you, they smelled like smoke, or they had bad breath, or, did you see that
Yeah.
tie they were wearing? They were wearing a Looney
Mm.
Tunes tie, for crying out loud. You
He's got to be a goober.
You're looking for
Yeah.
anything to
Yeah.
go, I didn't like that person. And
Yeah.
it's not so much about whether you like the house or not. I've seen plenty of cars that I was like, hell yeah, I want that car. But
Mm.
maybe the sales guy just felt a little greasy, you
Didn't do it
know?
for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I spend probably 75% of the time, depending on the client, but most times you can lead the conversation. I'll spend 75% of our time together in a house, not even talking about the house. And then 25% of the time, talking about the important things of the house, but I'm armed with that information,
Yeah.
the seller's disclosure, how, they want the heavy hitters. The first one, do they get water in the basement? It's the roof, it's the heating
Yeah.
system. And then I don't really care what color the cabinets are, or what size the bedrooms are. That's what you pay attention to,
Yeah.
And so if you come armed with the right information, that builds that trust, and they like you because you're not afraid to smile and tell a joke and laugh, along the way. But I think people get caught up in the weeds, and it's just like, oh my gosh, you're not even the same person that I know when I saw you show that house, because I ran it. This is, yeah,
Yeah.
no, forget. I don't want to work with anybody like that.
Authenticity,
Mm-mm.
man.
It
I
is,
put that
yeah.
out in one of my early podcasts, are you for real? And just talking about the importance of authenticity and
Hmm.
part of that is us. We got to figure out who we are first, and
Yeah,
then it's coming out and just being confident enough and comfortable enough with ourselves to be us, to
yeah.
be who we are, and be not be afraid to share that. And if it's right for the other person, great. If it's not,
Hmm.
great. Let me find you someone that is. Because
Right,
what's
yeah.
going to happen from there is somebody's going to go, Scott and I, we just didn't really click, but man, he was willing to find me someone else that did. And
Yeah,
that's
and
going
they're
to
going to get a
send
referral from that.
someone's going to come to me because of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Lori was talking about, um, she doesn't have all the answers, but she knows where she can find them. You give her the
that
time
is
and,
key.
give her the time and she will find it. And that is key. And that's what we do. What you do as a realtor is, did you notice I said that right?
I did. I was getting ready to say realtor, not realty,
Did you
not
notice?
realtor.
Did
You're
did
the
I tell you
man.
about my
Love
friend
it.
Ryan Reed, who is a realtor? He's a
Really.
realtor.
Have you seen the Modern Family? I think we talked about this last time. There's a Modern Family episode. Gloria goes up to the neighbor's house, and something about with her accent, and the old lady answers the door, and she goes, "He's one of these realtors," and she goes, "He's not a realtor. He's a realtor. Apparently, there's a difference or something." It's hilarious. If I can find the clip, I'm
That's
going to
so
send it
good.
to you, but I appreciate you saying it correctly. It drives me nuts. There's a dude in our company, one of my good friends, love him. He's a key person. They do these videos every week about like what's coming up for the week in training and months in training. Welcome to Realty One Group. On Realty, dude, you're a realtor and oh my gosh, pet peeve. Can't stand it. So anyway, sidebar. Go ahead. What, I
Yeah.
forget what you were even
Yeah,
asking.
it was good stuff. I know it was. Well, no, just saying as a realtor, you're representing not only yourself but your company as well. And
Yeah.
that's your role. You're the pro. You're the one who does this on a daily basis. You're checking inventory. You're looking at, the different aspects, what the changes in people's buying trends is. When
Hmm.
when I was first buying a house as a young couple, I didn't care if it was a one story or two story. I didn't care where the master bed and bath was. It didn't matter to
Hmm.
me. But now, we were 48. I don't even know how old we were when we bought this house, but we were old, and we're older now. And it's getting scary, but I'm in my prime.
5-0.
I'm in my
That's right,
prime.
baby. I can
But
still dunk that basketball.
darn
Let's
right,
go.
you put it down 8 feet, I'm on. Uh,
That's it.
but
Oh
it was important to
man.
us to have a first story master bed and bath.
Yeah.
That was a piece of it. So it had to either be a ranch or, something that had that aspect. And we really didn't want a second story. I have one, but it wasn't something I was
Okay.
looking for. We liked a single story ranch home. Number one, it's easier to maintain.
Hmm.
I don't have to worry about, is my old butt going to be able to get up and down the stairs? We have an exercise room right here on the second floor. And there are times I get off the bike or I get off the treadmill, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle going back downstairs. And it's a struggle going up, number one,
Yeah.
just because you're like, oh my God, am I really doing this? What am I
Yeah.
doing? Why?
Dude, we have a
Why?
3-story house.
Oh, no.
No, we built, like, if I showed you a picture of my house, it looks like a beach house that belongs in Jersey,
I
right?
love it.
So my wife, Jody, we've been married 25 years. She grew up, she moved 13 or 14 times growing up with the
Oh,
Salvation Army.
wow. Yeah.
So they always had a home on Long Beach Island, New Jersey. and you can just Google it. I never knew about it. She goes, "You never been to the beach?" I said, "We never went anywhere as a kid. We went to Florida maybe once, like we rode our bikes. You didn't have any money to go on vacation."
That's right.
So she does not like those thousand leggers that are in the basement. Like the water. I don't know. We have them around here that looks like a centipede. Well, we would call
Oh yeah, yeah,
centipede, but they're
yeah,
they're hairy.
yeah. Are they like a
Oh, gee.
millipede or something? Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
but
like.
they're
You guys can't see
elusive
what
and
I'm
they're
doing, but just imagine I'm a millipede right now.
yeah. But that's what we call millipede, but she calls them thousand leggers,
Okay.
and she
All
gets
right.
scared to death, like oh, man voice, right? And as a realtor, I do not like I just prefer no basements because I don't want to deal with water.
Yeah.
So we build a beach house. I mean, you walk into the garage. There's a rec room behind it with a full bath. You go up a half set of stairs, almost like a bi-level. It's not a bi-level at all, but you go up a half set of steps. Then you're in the second floor where our first, our second floor would be your bedrooms if
Okay.
you had a two-story.
Yeah.
So it's balcony, deck out the back, open floor plan, and then our third floor is our bedroom. So there are so many times with what you're talking about, like I'll forget something. I'm
Oh
in the
man.
car, brother. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we
Oh.
go. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I forget? So I try to not to remember or forget anything. Make a mental note. Don't get this, get this. Whatever. It happens. But yeah, so the ranch homes fit, most people's lifestyles as they're getting older. And one thing that's neat though, or not neat, but a fact about ranch homes people don't realize is to build a ranch home, a 1,200 square foot, 2,400 square ranch home is way more expensive than a 2,400 square foot two-story. Double the
Yeah.
foundation, double the walls, double the roof line.
Yep.
Otherwise you're just putting 2x4s and drywall on top of it. And they're more expensive in certain aspects when you're repairing them, for the roof
Yeah.
line is bigger when it goes bad. But I mean, they definitely serve their purpose. And, it is nice not to have to do the stairs, but
I think what my house is called is a modern craftsman.
okay.
It, I think that's what they consider it. To me, it doesn't have any of the craftsman qualities except for the gable ends,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it's not like what
What
we
year
think.
was it built?
2000.
Okay. Yeah. So it's newer.
It's like a ranch craftsman, in my opinion. If that's what they're going to call it,
Yeah.
it's
Huh.
it, it's
I'd have
that.
to see a picture of it.
I'll send you one. I've got.
All right.
We have
Yeah.
that ability. Uh,
Yeah. Exactly. It's
man,
funny.
technology is our friend.
I know. That's
But
hilarious.
it wasn't exactly what we were looking for, but it was what was available. And I think we talked about that before. That market was so crazy, and which kind of leads me to what I wanted to refresh on was, when we're looking at purchasing, are you an exclusive agent? We talked about that, where you have um exclusive agency. Is that how you would say it?
Yeah. So we in Pennsylvania, we practice buyer agency, seller agency, dual agency, and transactional licensee. So as a seller agent, I would represent you as the seller only. A buyer agent only. Dual agency is allowed in our company. It is allowed in Pennsylvania, and that's if I have a listing. Okay, yeah, I see your house now. Yeah, that's craftsman style. It's nice. I like that.
Your house reminds me of the houses we'd see in Bluffton, South Carolina area.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
lot of that going
exactly.
on there.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So but yeah, so dual agency is where if I had your house listed and then one of my buyers came and said, Ryan, I saw you listed that house, I want to buy it. And if you agreed and they agreed, and more importantly, if I felt good about the situation, I knew I could make it work and treat all parties fairly. Um, our state does allow dual agency if it's pre-existing. Our office allows it if it's pre-existing, meaning I was already working with you and I was already working with this buyer, and then we happen to, cross paths with the house. I can't have a cold call buyer reach out to me and say, I want to buy that house. And then I create a buyer agency with them after the fact. Um, so I wouldn't sign a buyer agency with them to fully represent them if I'm already fully representing you, if that makes sense. I could help that buyer. They would just be an unrepresented buyer, you know.
And
The only
do you get paid in that situation?
Well, you do, and so that's the other thing too with our state and our company. When as a seller, when you sign a listing agreement, that commission, let's just say 6%, that all goes to my company. Then we've agreed to co-broke to share part of that, if not half of it, usually typically split with another agent and their company. In this case, if a buyer came to me and wanted to buy your house unrepresented, then Realty One Group would still keep the full 6% because this buyer over here did not have an agent. And the only real difference between buyer agency and an unrepresented buyer is like anything the buyer tells me is not confidential.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's, I have to treat all parties fairly and ethically and all that, and all my responsibilities for the agreement of sale are still hold fast and true. I just don't have to hold confidentiality, which is any buyer. Why would you want that? Like just go get an agent. They're
Right.
available. I can refer somebody to you. I've done that before too. So yeah, it's interesting, and things are starting to shift a little bit with payments and commissions and things. And well, they're not, but people think they are. So we'll work through the details of that. But
Well, that was something I was thinking about too after we talked the last time was when you got into this. How long have you been doing this? 18
uh,
years.
yeah, a little over 18. I got it in 2006.
So thinking about 2006 and the housing market then, how much houses were selling for then, the commissions
Hmm.
that were coming from a house in 2006 versus a commission that would come from a home in
Hmm.
2024 is has the the real estate brokers or whatever the business adjusted with that to where the business end is capturing more than they were before, or you know what I'm saying, like has
Like you
it
mean commissions, like because house prices go up?
yeah, so if a house price goes up, are you getting a commission based off the sale price of the house?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. has
Yeah.
has the commission rate changed for agents like yourself, or does it stay true with it?
I think it's all about, so everything's negotiable. So I think it's about what value do you, so my company does not have a set standard, like it has to be this or you're not allowed to help that buyer or that seller. It's up to me.
Okay.
And I'll get into that in a minute, but of why it's that way. Um, but everything is negotiable. So typically I run off, if I'm going to do a listing, I run off a 6% commission, 3% to my company, and 3%,
And
willing to
that
split that with the buyer agent.
that seems to be the standard of what I've
Yeah,
seen here in
there's
Indiana and
yeah. I mean, it's shifting as far as like I've seen it's probably 75% 5% now, and the 25% is 3%. And I don't know why. And I think it's because agents are afraid to have real conversations with their clients. And they have a problem, and I think they can't prove their worth. Like, why are you worth this?
right.
Well, here's why. And you have to have that laid out, and you have to be confident in what you're telling your clients as to why you're gonna, you know anybody that has a license can try to write an agreement of sale, but it doesn't mean it's written correctly. Or it might be correctly in the fact that it's a valid agreement of sale, but it's not in the best interest of their client because they just didn't know what they were doing. There's different ways and strategies, obviously, to make your offer stand out above the other 10. And you need to have those conversations there's a relationship that people are afraid to form with other agents because it's their quote unquote competition. But I want that person to like me, because if they like me, now they like my client, and that helps,
Hmm.
and you go above and beyond to work with your co-brokers, to build that relationship. And so we kind of got off track there, but that's, the commissions are pretty standard. And even as a buyer agent, I think people don't realize it, at least where we're at, that the buyer agency is always has said clearly the buyer is responsible for Ryan Reed's commission.
Mm-hmm.
That's their responsibility. My conversation with that buyer is like, hey, I can probably get some of this, most of it, maybe all of it from the sellers. But if I can't, you need to bridge that gap. So I run on a 3% commission as a buyer agent too. So if I can get 3 from the selling side, great, Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, you don't have an additional cost to me.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get 2.5, you have to make up 0.5% and so forth and so on. But I just think agents, I think everybody is looking at any industry in sales. I think people have issue or can't prove what they're worth, or they want to be the top star agent when they're just starting out, or the salesman, they got to be the top person. Just take a step back and just educate yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and learn and know, and just educate is the biggest thing, and communicate with your clients. Then they trust you. It's back to what you said. You said something like, know, and trust, I
Like,
think what it
trust, and
was.
respect. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
something
there
I'd
you go.
learned
Yeah.
years ago at a Joe Verdi
Mhm.
training when I was with JD Byrider. And that was
Yeah.
something that's always stuck out to me is like, trust, and respect. And as a teacher, that's what I strive for, was for my
Mhm.
students to like, trust, and respect me. If they don't like me, I'm going to have a problem. They're going to find I'm not going to be able to build a relationship if they don't trust
Mhm.
me. Then they're not going to learn, because they're always going to be wondering what's happening next. And if they didn't respect me, then we're going to have discipline issues,
Mhm.
So that like, trust, respect piece, I think, is so important, not just as a teacher, but I learned it as a sales rep, that I was going to get more sales. Like, trust, and respect has to be a component of that. And I carried that
Yeah.
into as a teacher. Now back into sales again, I'm still utilizing that same idea, that same 3 words
Right.
that I go by, that I want to be like, trust, and respected. And the only way to do that is to be very honest
Yeah.
in everything I do, all my communication.
Yeah. You have to. And another tidbit that I picked up last week. We go to LCBC. It's a pretty big. I mean, it's a mega church. They got 17 campuses
Oh
across
my gosh.
Pennsylvania, and it's 15 minutes up the road is the main campus. And it's just, it's my personality, my wife's
Mm-hmm.
personality. It's like, when your 17-year-old kid goes there and he goes, "Hey, I'm not bored." You're like, well, we're probably in the right place,
Right.
and and the messages are really awesome. But they were talking about get your mind right. It's kind of the series that we're in right now,
Mm.
and it was the 3 R's: recognize, remove, and replace those negative thoughts.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's just good information to have. That's like life lessons. I mean, for your walk with Christ, if you're a Christian, but I mean, just the fact that you're in sales, if you're doing coaching, training, I was just like, man, I'm grabbing onto that one. You know what I mean? It's so basic, but you just don't think about it until it's put in the perspective of the way it was delivered.
Yeah, and I like how you put that. It doesn't matter if it's a Christian thing or if it's not. It's just part of being a good person, and
Yeah,
improving your
exactly. Right.
life. We,
Hmm.
it's junk in, junk out.
Hmm.
Is a very
Yeah.
basic way of putting it. And if you're feeding yourself, like, if I eat junk food, which I've done for the past 2 months, I put on 15 pounds. I feel like a sloth. And when I start running again, which I did a few weeks ago, I feel like,
Yeah.
holy God, my whole body is rejecting this idea, because I've had junk in for so long.
Yeah.
And now I see my performance is junk out. And I feel
Yeah.
terrible. And this past week, I've ate better, and I feel tremendously better. I feel lighter. I've lost a few pounds, and it's the same way in the rest of our lives. What we
Hmm.
consume uh, through social media, what your
Oh
feed
my gosh.
is
Yeah.
such a representation of how you look at life. If it's nothing but
Yeah.
car wrecks and fighting and whatever, that's
Yeah.
that's what you're seeking. That's what you're going to mentally process all the time. And
Yeah.
there is so much other greatness out there. find that win video where people are jumping, motorcycles over, some huge gap in the desert and they land perfectly and everybody cheers them on. That's what we should be
Yeah.
watching. Or, that kid that hits a jump on their BMX bike the first time. That's the stuff I'm
Yeah.
watching. And, or the kid that fails and gets back up. How many of those stories can we share? And that's what you're saying right there is feed yourself that good positive message and you're
Yeah.
going to project good positive messages.
You have to, because I mean, it's too easy to get sucked into this. Like,
Oh
you
man.
said it right on the social media world. It's just so, I've went down reels or TikTok rabbit holes, for an hour,
Yeah.
couple hours, you're just at nighttime, you're like nothing on, you're just sitting around. And I go like, damn, that garage could have been cleaned. And I
Right.
wasted, an hour like watching these stupid
Yep.
videos, that we all produce. And it's just like, oh my gosh.
What am I
And it's
doing?
just, it is. And then like with real estate, it feels like, I think people, if I wasn't a realtor, I would delete Facebook, Instagram. I wouldn't have any of it because but I feel like it's a necessary evil because people, it's about name recognition. I see you, I see you, I see you. Okay, okay, okay. But I try not to, like, you're never going to see me post. I mean, I've been guilty of it in the past. Like, I was out showing houses today. I Congratulations to the seller or to the buyer for they bought their house today. Yay. I used to do that, but then you start thinking like that's not for them. That was
Right.
for
That's
me
exactly right.
to to
Yeah.
show. And like as a consumer who's not a realtor, you could give two craps less unless it was somebody you knew. You're not hiring me because I hold up another sold sign.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what I've been shifting into is so I love these podcasts. It's one of my favorite things to do. Um,
That's
it's
good to know.
awesome. It is. I mean, I love it. I'm on the I've connected myself and intentionally for business to know what's going on with my community. I'm on the Chamber of Commerce, the board
Mm-hmm.
here in town, and I so I go to monthly meetings and then I'm on a marketing committee to grow that membership. And so part of the membership when you join is it's called Beyond the Chamber. It's a podcast.
Okay.
And so we did one for real estate, we did one for the record store. And then I'm starting to co host those with Denise Grove, who's the executive director. So we just did one the other day, man. It's like about small businesses and cybersecurity. We did a wellness place. So I'm getting into that. And it's just like, I have to tell them about how we're just going to, we hadn't talked in years,
Right.
over 25 years. I haven't seen you since high school,
Right.
probably.
Well, we've seen
You
each
know what I
other at
mean?
a reunion or two.
Well, yeah, I only went to one.
Yeah. So I mean,
So
it's
the
like
20th, yeah, like whatever, it's like,
we.
it's just, hey, man, what's going on? And that's what I tell them. I said, when we're doing these podcasts, just relax, be yourself,
Yeah.
like just
Absolutely.
talk. It's okay to like ask a question. It's so boring when they're sitting there saying, well, eat the oranges, eat, like it's just, it's just, well, because it was a wellness thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
we got into the weeds of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to break this up. This is not going to be entertaining. Let's tell
Yeah.
some jokes. Let's laugh and let's be authentic. So anyway,
It,
got off on another
once again,
rabbit hole
yeah, but
there.
you know what? It so relates because what you said, be authentic, be yourself. You know,
Hmm.
I didn't know if this thing was going to last, 6 episodes or, now we're at
Yeah.
50. I think I'm getting ready to turn the page
Okay.
on a year on 52 full
Nice.
episodes. So I didn't anticipate it being a weekly thing.
Okay. Is
I,
it weekly?
it is weekly. So
Okay.
I thought I would probably be about every 2 weeks. And then it really started snowballing and it became very easy. Um,
Okay.
and even in the weeks where I don't have a guest, which has been few and far between, I have so much to say because I can't shut my mouth. But even then, I try and keep it, lighthearted and entertaining and quick and just kind of speak exactly what I'm thinking. I don't edit a
Yeah.
lot. It's rare when I edit. I've edited a couple episodes due to the request of my guest.
Yeah.
Or there was one I did with a former student, Scotty Winger, where we couldn't remember a girl's name, and I went in and I put the name in, and I've been very open about it, but I put the name in
Yeah.
just to, number one, to see if I could do it, see if I could slip it in
Yeah.
there and make it seem seamless, and it did.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
I've also listened to other podcasts, and one I'm going to call it out because I was really disappointed because I was really enjoying the podcast with Dax Shepard, and I can't remember the lady
Okay.
that's on there. It's called the Armchair Expert.
Isn't that
And
his wife?
is it his wife? Because it seems
I
like
think
Jennifer
so.
said the same thing to me, but it seems like he
Yeah,
refers to
it's
his wife in the podcast, like, well, my wife
yeah,
or
Dexter.
something. But anyway,
Because they did a TV show too, I think, a
did
game
they?
show or something. I
Okay,
think maybe I'm
maybe
thinking
it
my wife
is.
would know.
Yeah,
Jody would know.
I got frustrated with it because of the editing.
Yeah.
They edit pauses.
Oh, jeez.
So like
Like,
that pause we just had there, there's drama that
yeah.
comes with that. It gives
Mm-hmm.
I think it gives the listener time to actually think about what was said. And the last
Yeah.
episode I was listening to with him, I was like, holy crap, I don't even have time to think about. It was with Conor McGregor and the actor. They're redoing Roadhouse, which uh,
Oh, Ryan Reynolds, or is that who it is,
no,
or is it
Jake
I've
Jake.
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yes, that's who.
Have you seen it
I
yet?
have not. Have you?
It's good.
Is it
Yeah, I
okay?
watched it. Yeah, it's not Roadhouse as we,
Okay.
pull your thoughts of,
Okay.
of the original out. It's not like that, but it's good.
Patrick
It's a
Swayze's not going to
little
dance in the middle of a fight scene and
no, no. The original, if you're doing apples to apples, the original, in my opinion, blows it away.
sure.
But if you can delete that one from your memory and just enjoy for what it is, it's good.
Okay. All right.
It's over the top,
Well, of
but
course it is.
yeah.
Well, they were, I mean, anything with Conor McGregor is going to be over the top.
Yeah.
But he was
He's
talking,
the cheesiest actor
is he?
ever, too. Oh my
Listen,
gosh,
he
it's
owned
so.
it. He owned it on that
Oh, did he?
podcast. Yeah,
Okay,
he was
all
talking
right.
about how I'm a white belt. He said, I know nothing about acting. I
Yeah.
am a
Okay.
beginner. And
Yeah. Well, at least he owned it.
yeah, and he was very honest about it. And then Jake was
Okay.
talking about being a beginner in the fight scenes. He was like,
Yeah.
uh, I haven't seen it, but evidently there was a piece where he gets kicked or hit in the head and, by McGregor, and it looks real. And he said, I went
Hmm.
down, and but I didn't even feel the punch or whatever it was.
That's
And
yeah.
he was like, I don't know how he faked that punch so well, but he did. And that made me
Yeah.
think maybe he's doing that in UFC too, but I doubt it because I've seen their
Yeah.
faces
Ask
when
his
they get done.
opponents. Yeah.
Uh,
No doubt.
but yeah, so um,
There was pauses and stuff in there. You said, or there weren't
there
any pauses.
weren't. So I couldn't keep up. I was
Yeah.
struggling to keep up with what was being said. It doesn't give me time to think about
Hmm.
what's happening. And this is something I learned in music that and art. There is space. We appreciate the space. When the blank space that is in there. When you're listening to music, think about some of those songs where, because I know you're a music lover, clearly, when there is a pause and you just know it's coming. You
Yeah.
know,
It's like the hype.
I,
It's
I
intentional.
yeah, I mean, in my head, I'm thinking about Rage Against the Machines song "Freedom,"
Yeah.
and it's
Hmm.
like, dude, this song kills. And then all of a
Rage Against
sudden,
the Machine.
at the end, he's like, it just starts building up, and he's like, freedom. And it's like, whoa, that pause before that scream literally gave me chills. I'm sitting here with chills right now
Oh
thinking
yeah.
about it and not even hearing, but I can hear it in my head. Those pauses. There's another one. It's one of my. I've talked about this in the episode as well. One of my favorite little splash cymbal beats was in. It was in a Motley Crue song, and I'll get it in my head. Anyway, there's just a pause, and all you hear is,
Yeah.
psh, and it's just Tommy hitting a
Yeah.
splash.
Okay.
That's it. Um,
I'd have to. I don't know what song that is.
Shout at the devil.
Okay.
So
Shout out to them. All right, I have to listen to that again.
he's like, "Mow, wow, wow, now, bunk,
Uh,
you know." So there's that part in
yeah.
there, and that's that little
All right.
splash where it's like,
Yeah.
dude, that was so anticlimactic. It was like all I could see is that little, the monkeys that have the ting 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 ting.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what it
Ah.
almost reminds me of. It's like no 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 tink na 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 na.
Did you hit on two things? So you talking about that whole thing? Like, first one, that freaking monkey. My dad had. It wasn't the ones that had a symbol in each hand. It was the one that set like Indian style, and he would go and he go chink, chink, chink. It would clap, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you'd hit a button on its head and its lips would spread and be like, like the teeth would show. My dad used to put that in the hallway at our bedroom when I was
Oh, that's
younger and
awesome.
scare the crap out of my brother and I hated that thing. So when I got older, I found one of those monkeys and I burn it in the
Oh.
garbage on purpose and just made me feel so good.
You just had a
Ah,
release.
just oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
And
so good.
then the other one you were talking about when music, Rage Against the Machine, L.A.
Oh
96
man.
amphitheater downtown, small theater. My buddy and I, middle front row of the balcony, but it was the perfect seats, right? Oh, that tour was
Wow.
so amazing. And then Tom Morello, lights go out, and there's a spotlight behind him, and it was situated at the right angle that all you saw was his outline. You couldn't
Yeah.
see anything. And then it goes, "Dun, dun, 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 dun," and then it is Zach. Oh my gosh, I got chills thinking about that. Like
Dude.
96 LA. Oh, good times, man.
I
Los
never got to see him
Angeles.
live. I always wanted to see that band
Ah,
live. Uh,
dude.
One of my favorite frontmen of all time is Zach De La Rocha. Like
Oh yeah.
that guy, man,
Dude,
he just
the
so
music
mad.
scene in LA in that time was like off the chain. Remember Tower Records? You
Oh
ever heard of
yeah,
Tower Records?
yeah,
Yeah, so we
yeah.
would go down to Tower Records on Hollywood and Vine. That was like their mothership.
Hmm.
The middle of the afternoon on a Tuesday, for whatever reason, they had bands playing in the parking lot of their new releases. I saw who was it? They had a Pinkerton album. Weezer
Oh
was
wow,
down there at their release of Pinkerton. I mean, it wasn't my favorite band, but it was like,
right.
what is going on here? Right. And then we'd listen to K Rock, KROQ or something, I think like that. And that's when we were in film school in 96, I would hear all this music and then I came back home and like 3 months later, the song would be on the radio.
That's
I
it.
go, I've
New
already heard
release.
this. Yeah, new release. Rage Against the Machine's new. And I'm like, this is old. And then I got like, oh, this is what's happening. It lives here and then
Hmm.
spreads here, but now it's like,
It doesn't work that
everywhere
way
instant.
anymore. Yeah,
No. And there's something about that I miss,
yeah,
about if you wanted to, like, the newest, latest, and greatest, you had to go find it,
yeah.
and not just on your phone and not just, online. No, you had to travel,
Dude,
physically go there.
you were a guy that had style and understood culture. I thought really well, and
Okay.
and you and Craig Brown both stand out to me as people who did that really well, could pull off the new thing really well. I think I was too grounded in, Hartford City culture to really embrace that, but I felt like you guys both did that really well, embracing anything that
Hmm.
was the new pop culture thing and bringing that with you. You'd show up at school with the new style or whatever, and we're all like, "Man, we're still wearing jeans and, Keds." Or,
Yeah, yeah.
or
I think part of it is I just didn't care what people
yeah.
thought. I never really have. There was a lot of insecurities, I think, as a
Oh,
younger
sure.
younger kid that I probably most of us had. You know, what I mean, when I graduated high school, like I was under 5'10" and 150 pounds. You know what I mean?
Right.
So think about
Right.
so I think the way I expressed myself was through what you said, and that's just how kind of how I felt like, and it wasn't, there was no thought process behind it, just who I was. It just, this is me. That's how I show people who I am, because I sure as hell ain't getting no girlfriend at 150 pounds and 5'9". You know, I was just like, no. I was like, all right, I got other stuff to do. So it wasn't really till college where I really found myself. Like, and it was my
Mm.
senior year of college when, honestly, it's when we went to LA.
Yeah.
You know, I was still like that 155-pound dude. You know, I was 6 foot at the time. I grew up a little bit, or a couple inches. But when I went to LA, I was like, all right, um, this is my senior year of college,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is a different place, and that's where I met my wife, and we started going to the gym like 2 hours a day, and eating like ridiculous amounts of protein. And I went from, and creatine. Have you ever taken
Oh
creatine?
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
back in the day, dude, that was borderline, like,
Yeah.
you know,
You're
probably
on
should have been.
shh.
Yeah, right.
Don't say roids.
Don't, yeah, yeah, exactly, right. And my mom asked me, she goes, when I came home, because I went from 155 to like 178,
Man, that's a
just
jump.
yeah, in like in like a semester of school.
Wow.
And we were just, that's how dedicated we were to the gym, and that's how this creatine and all this protein. We were drinking milk, 2 gallons of milk a week, eating protein like yeah, it's crazy, dude. We're eating, like, what was it, these ground turkey sandwiches for breakfast,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And a pizza, no thanks, maybe once a month.
Yeah.
you know we'd do that, and beer. That was our enemy, the beer, right?
Right.
But that was our life. And then it was just like, that's where so when I came back to college and people hadn't seen me, so you have to think, I left. I get the times mixed up. It would have been the summer of, or the spring semester, or whatever it was, of my junior year of college. So that we went into summer. I didn't go back to college. I went from, not seeing anybody, and from May, we're in December, because I finished that, and then I had Christmas break, and then I went back to school and college in January. So 7, 8 months, no one saw me.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people, my friends. And when you go from being this scrawny dude to like pretty ripped and cut,
Yeah.
and you're like, my confidence levels like through the roof, and not in a cocky way, but you just,
Right.
I finally have found who I am. I'm confident in who I am. I have this girl that I know I'm gonna marry, and that's a whole story. We got through that, but here we are. But yeah, so it's just, that's the express. I don't even know how we got on this topic, but
We're just talking
Rage
about
Against the
finding
Machine, maybe.
ourselves, man.
Yeah,
It's
that's what it
really
was, dude.
interesting to me as someone who, you know, I I've said this before. I had pretty low confidence through a lot of my life, and
Hmm.
the perception has never been that. But
No,
I,
not
I,
at all.
I'm someone who is always questioning myself. I was always afraid of failure. And it took me years to overcome that. I was in my 30s when I overcome my fear of failure. And part of that was going back to school at 36 and fighting through that for 4 years of I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail. I failed before, I'm going to fail
Mm,
again. And I think through that process, I had a mentor. Her name was Tammy Conwell, and Tammy was very helpful in that. My wife was an extremely influential person in that, and then all of the outside influences that come along with being a dad and being
yeah.
married and supporting yourself as an adult. Um, but those folks really supported me and were behind me and allowed me to grow mentally in that space. And that's where my confidence came in. So it was this change of the perceived Scott that I probably projected. Well, I know I projected, but then there was that internal person that was always fighting with
Yeah.
what can I do? What am I capable of? There was a belief that I could probably do just about anything, but because I'd failed at things, I was holding myself back because of past failures. So as I fought through that whole 4 years of going back to school and being very successful in that, I've started finding my confidence as
Hmm.
as an adult, and that confidence that I projected was now real. Whereas before, I was just pretending, man.
Yeah, I would have never, picked up on that. I mean, I didn't pick up on that in high school
Yeah,
because weren't you the Bruin
I
Bear? Weren't you
was.
the
I was,
bear?
I was a
Yeah,
school mascot. I
all
was
that stuff.
class president. I mean,
Yeah, I was like,
but
geez, I don't. This guy's it's like that's who you like. Why can't I be like that?
yeah,
You know what I mean?
there was a lot going
Crazy.
on. There was a lot more going on behind the scenes than a lot of people may ever know. I don't know. I may end up
Hmm.
spilling it all before it's all over. But there were a lot of times when, just like anyone else, I was very confused about who I was, what I wanted to do, what I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
A lot of self detrimental thoughts, and it was tough. There was some really tough times, especially after I'd went to college and failed, and then came back and
Yeah.
got into a little bit of trouble. And next thing I know, I'm living at home with my mom and dad, and I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I sat down at the table with my dad one night, and I started packing my stuff up. I just went upstairs, started packing, and he's like, "What are you
Mm.
doing?" So I didn't figure you wanted the dropout living with you. I'm gonna go figure it
Damn.
out. And I was
Yeah.
taking stuff out to my car, and my dad sit down with me, and he said, "Son, you're not a failure.
Hmm.
You've failed at this for now. That doesn't mean you failed at everything." And that was really important for me to hear from him, because it had always been a
Yeah.
conversation of, you got to go to college. You got to go to college. If you're going to be successful, you have to go to college. If you don't go to college, you're not going to be successful. That was the spiel I was getting from him, and
Mm.
he hadn't done that. And I thought he had a pretty successful life, which he did. Um,
Hmm.
but I struggled because of those things. So when I hear you talking about this, I was this 155 guy, dude. I would have died. Like, I would have loved to have been a skinny guy.
Perspective is
you
everything,
know,
right?
like
Yeah.
I look back at pictures of me in my late teens. I thought I was a fat kid. I look back at those pictures of me as a teen. I'm like, dude, you're 165, almost 6 foot tall. Where does
I never
fat
thought that
play
at
in
all.
there? Where
Yeah.
does? But I thought I was a fat kid.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
I look at myself and I'm like, Jesus, you ate him.
Yes. It's crazy about, I think, and that's a good thing. I mean, just everything we're talking about kind of wraps up and comes full circle with with what we do and how you
Yeah,
treat people. You just never know what's going on the other side of that fence. The
yeah.
grass probably honestly is never greener,
No.
you know?
Some of
Money isn't.
as an educator, I gained a lot of insight as well into the lives of kids who we were once, the spitting image of,
Mhm.
and seeing how that kid that you think has got it all,
Right.
um,
Mhm.
watching how they interact with their parents when they come in for a discipline issue, or any kind of issue. You think they've got it all, but they don't. Some of them do.
Yeah.
Some of them do. Some of them do have charm lives.
Sure.
Some of the folks you look at, you think have charm lives, and they really don't. There's a real struggle going on. Their parents,
Yeah.
maybe struggling with drugs or alcohol addiction. There may be a divorce going on. There may be abuse at the home. They may have a sibling who is, struggling with suicidal thoughts. You have no idea what's really happening behind the scenes, and there's a facade that's being put on by most
Yeah.
everybody, especially in that age range from 6th to 12th grade. There's a lot of of walls being put up and built in that time frame, and I certainly built a lot of them up. Um, but I wasn't alone in that, and you weren't either. But
Yeah.
we felt
You
that
think
way.
you are. Yeah, you
Boy,
think you're alone.
we sure did, and it feels
Yeah.
that way. I'm not trying to dismantle
Yeah.
that idea, because so many kids that would come into my office or come into my classroom after during a passing period or something, say, Mr. Schick, I'm struggling with this, that, or the other. And it's like, man, I was that kid. I'm glad that
Yeah.
I was
It's
someone they could
rewarding
come
too.
to. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the rewards of like working through everything that everyone does, and then being able to pass that on in a positive manner.
Yeah.
You're not always going to get it right, but you know, I think my Jody, she's worked in the school district in some form or fashion for like the last 16, 17 years. And so right now she's at the high school for the last 3 years, and she works one-on-one with a blind student. That's kind
Mm-hmm.
of her, she's her person. But she talks about everything that you just did with those high school kids. And she's nervous about maybe getting moved from the high school to middle school or
Ooh,
the
middle
Bear Creek
school's
school,
tough.
like, yeah. And she loves all the kids, but her personality is, she loves them high school kids, and they love her and they respect her,
Yep.
and they come to her
Huh.
with these issues, and
Interesting.
it's
They like, trust, and
um
respect her.
right, because she's yeah, yeah, full circle, man. She's authentic. She is
Yep.
not gonna, if someone says something to me, I usually need a I'm a I need a minute to marinate on it before I give my rebuttal. But she's like her dad. Boom, boom. She's got the
Mm.
response. And typically, you know, um, most people listen with the intention to respond, or
Mm.
like they're waiting for you to shut up so they can just give you their rebuttal. And she's not like that. And I've been trying to be, you know um learn a few lessons from her over the years, to be like, hey, let's just listen with intention,
Yeah.
you know um and I think that's what makes yourself and myself successful in what we do. And you just put your minds to it, and I mean, it's like this record store. I was like, I knew I wanted to do it, you know, and someone says, "Well, how'd you do that?" I go, "I don't know, just knew I wanted." I'd built up enough confidence in myself and enough skill set that I knew that I could open up a retail store and it wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not going to consume me. I got to, I aligned myself with a good partner who, intentionally. So it's just all about intention and setting yourself up for success. And this is not a job. If someone says this is a job, I'm going to hand you the key. I don't want this record store to be a job. It's not a job. I'm a realtor. That's my job. My job is helping people. This is for fun.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the confidence to be able to do it and pass, and then you have it, and you can pass that on to people in our lives who need it.
Yeah. Man, what a what a great gift to be able to share with someone, and that's part of
Hmm.
this whole podcast process has been to just share. I
Yeah.
To let people know you're not alone, and to
Hmm.
let people know there's hope, whatever it might be. I my intent is to give people some sort of gift of hope or
Yeah.
anything. I think uh, it's been a long process of learning that as I go along with this and talk to more people, but it's a journey into my own life as well.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like this. You think about peeling an onion, and boy, I'm not a big onion person, but I sure know what that looks like. When you're peeling off the
Yeah.
layers, and there's so many layers to our lives and to other people's lives. And I think we are so social media driven right now that all we're seeing is that facade that we're wanting to portray, and
Yeah. It's fake.
it is,
Most
and
of it.
what I was projecting as a young man may have been what I wanted to be, but it certainly wasn't who I was. And
Hmm.
the struggle that was going on underneath was a whole lot more complicated and a lot more important than what was on the outside. And this is so much different than um, a social media post. You were talking about
Yeah.
TikTok videos and stuff, and we watch those, and the way we consume stuff now is so much different. Do you remember, like, man, just thinking about when we were kids, you couldn't wait for that show to come out next week.
Yeah.
You
Get
know,
your TV guide out. Look at
yeah.
it. What's on?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jennifer and I were just talking about you would plan your week through TV Guide or going
Oh,
into the
yeah.
newspaper to look and see what movies were on.
Yeah.
Think about planning for a date when you were young
Oh
man.
man.
Like you had to go find the movie, and
Yeah.
you're like, all
Yeah. You
right,
couldn't,
so
like, it wasn't
it's
online. You didn't look
yeah,
it up.
it's playing. Okay, it's on at Friday night. Oh man,
Like,
there's a ball game, and I know she's gonna be at the
yeah,
ball
man.
game, or maybe she doesn't want to go to the ball game. Maybe she's just going because she doesn't have anything else to do. It'll just be us.
Hilarious.
You know?
Did you guys date in high school at
We
all?
did not. No.
Okay.
No, she has this
That's
claim that she knew I was their guy pretty early on. I don't believe
really.
that because she always had a boyfriend, and if you wanted to date someone, you wouldn't have a boyfriend nonstop. You would.
Yeah,
You
I
gotta.
think I don't recall. Like, I mean, Jennifer Knuckles, right?
Yeah.
That was her maiden
God, you
name.
were almost neighbors.
Yeah, because I think, and I know she's gonna hate me for this, but because I think it was that whole convoluted time where we went from elementary school, then we all went to Montpelier, but
Yeah.
you guys were Hartford City kids, and then we all went to the same high school. But Jennifer and I came up through, elementary, and
Uh-huh.
it took me a minute to remember. Did we just go to high school together, or did we actually? But we did. Yeah, we came up through the elementary
Yeah.
schools together,
You guys would have been at
and yeah,
Jackson.
Jackson
Yeah,
Elementary.
man.
Think about the people that got their lives messed up, ended up in room 201 where they used to have the third grade teacher, but now that's the prison cell or the county jail. That's funny. Yeah, irony at its best, but
We didn't start dating until after high school.
okay.
We both went to Ball State, and we went to we spent some time together at orientation, and then we were supposed to go out on a date. I ditched her with a lame excuse about my grandma. I lied, and I want to go ride motorcycles with my buddies. Man, I had a
Yeah,
ZX. I
you're
had
like,
a ZX10, dude.
yeah, you're gonna
We
got
were
some wheelies to ride, brother.
we had some wheelies to ride and some burnouts to do. Um,
Heck yeah.
and so that's how we started. And then it wasn't until 95, I
Hmm.
think, we saw each other again. I was working the overhead door. She was doing summer help there, and we started talking then. And next thing you know, we were getting serious and
Nice.
building a life together. So really interesting how I'm very thankful that both of us, and we've had this conversation. Both of us got to live our lives and enjoy that early 20s
Yeah.
without without oversight from a significant other.
Yeah.
I'm thankful I was able to do that. It's not for everybody, but for us, it was very beneficial.
I am not super connected. I mean, because I live in Pennsylvania, but I'm not super connected with our class.
Yeah,
Just you see people here and there, but I'm not. I don't know or can't recall. I guess if anybody that dated in our that were connected in our class that actually got married and are still together. I mean, there probably is, but I don't know that. I don't know.
yeah. Sean and Kim Jenkinson. Um,
Okay.
They are, and they've been married and together. We got to see them. It was the most it was really interesting to me. They've been married and together since high school. And if y'all are listening, I want you to know how like I was intrigued. We went out to eat with
Hmm.
them. So we went
Okay.
down to Florida. We were in Port Charlotte area, and Jennifer and I went out to eat with them. And when we went out to eat, they're sitting next to each other, still holding hands. I was like, ah, man,
Yeah.
they're still
That's
like
cool.
in love, and
Yeah.
Jennifer and I are still in love, but like they're still holding hands, like sitting together. And I was like, gosh, man, that what a great
Like,
story that is,
yeah.
to
High
be.
school sweethearts all over again.
Yeah, and to still
Huh.
be
Interesting.
that connected with one another, and that was I don't know what the right word is. I'm not a wordsmith by any means, but intriguing, I guess
It's,
maybe.
I mean, it's,
God, if
yeah,
it's
I
the
mean,
wrong
it's
word, I
just,
feel bad.
well, because it's not the norm anymore,
It sure isn't.
You know what I mean?
No.
I mean, to hear somebody like people here that Jody and I have been married for 25 years, they're like, oh my gosh, we hope we get there. I'm like, I don't,
Wow. Why would
I
I
mean,
would never even say that?
I know, I've
You know?
never, like, we've had our moments, but I mean, I've never really felt like our marriage has been hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, she puts up with my nonsense,
Uh-huh.
my craziness. And so
Well,
God love her
listen,
for that. But
Ryan, on our ends, it's not that hard. It's
yeah,
them that
yeah,
are
that's true.
they're the ones that suffer.
Ah,
They
yeah.
suffer through it, and we're just like, what are you talking about? This has been a piece of
Yeah.
cake.
What's this maniac doing? But Jody will tell you the same thing too, though. Like we've talked about this before. She goes, "It's just never been hard. Everybody's had their moments and their seasons of,
Hmm.
of whatever, but we've never been yellers and screamers and,
Yeah,
you know, and disrespecting, name calling and
that's it.
all that stuff. Just never have done it. Just wasn't raised that way. Not going to do that. I still open the door for her every
Yeah.
time we go out somewhere. Both my kids do that for their, I got two boys. Gavin's 23, Gage is 19. Gage has got this little girl that I don't know, Jody and I just have they're young. I mean, they are young,
Yeah.
but it's just something about them that you have that gut feeling, and he goes out, he opens the door for her, shuts it, treats her right, and Jody loves the fact that I still do that for her. And it's not a bragging thing. It's
No,
just
yeah.
I want to do it.
And so I struggle with that every once in a while, um, because I understand how important individuality is, self, preservation, whatever, all these other words you could throw in. But I'm the guy that I still have to walk on the street side.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And
I put myself between her and the cars for sure.
yeah, and as much as I try not to, because like there are times when I'm like, oh, you know what? She's grown. She's able to, you know, I don't I don't know if she could dodge a speeding car. I mean, um, but I would think she could. She's pretty agile.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could dodge a speeding car, but I would like to think I could push her out of the way if need be.
Yeah.
Can she push me out of the way? I doubt it. I'm a big
All
fella.
right.
But she probably could. She's been pushing me around forever. But
That's right.
it's like I'm not
She would do
abusive.
it.
Yeah. But I still do that, but
Yeah.
I'm conscious about it to the point to where I'm
Mhm.
like, does that bother you? And she's like, no. She said, but I notice you do it, and I want her to have that independence. I want her to feel like, she doesn't have to be
Yeah.
taken care of. I think we all want to feel like we can take care of ourselves, but at the same time, I still hold those same values you're talking about. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
when we go out to eat somewhere, open the door for her, and
Mhm.
um, um, I wait for her to finish eating before I start picking stuff off her plate.
I, Jody always makes so, so funny. So Jody orders. She goes, "Hey, you want to split something?" I go,
Oh
"Sure."
God, no, that's a
As
bad
well, as long
idea.
as I order. Wait, wait. Yeah, it is terrible because she's like, "Well, we're gonna get this, and this is how we're gonna order it." Oh, you mean we're gonna get a quesadilla with just chicken and cheese on it and nothing else? Oh
Uh,
yeah, we can have nachos with just the beef and the cheese and all the jalapenos and everything else on the side. You can just put it on each chip. I go, oh, okay, so that's what you mean by split it. Order it your way. And then I just go, I'm good,
I'm good.
And then she wants you to eat her food. I'm like, no, I'm good. That's too bland. So
Oh
funny. But yeah,
God.
she still notices all the stuff like that. Like you said, the one she actually said something about the other day. We were walking somewhere and she was on the outside. I switched sides with her, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And she notices it, but she notices it in a way that she loves the fact that I still recognize that
Yeah.
you know,
We're playing our role.
yeah, I was gonna say my
You
role.
know.
I was gonna say that, and I didn't want it to come off like,
No,
you
it
know,
it, it
like that way. But
is.
yes, it is our role. It's our jobs to protect, but they do so much for us,
That's right. That's right.
and stuff that I don't even. She always says, "You'll if you something happened to me, you would be fine. You would just live your life." I'm like, Jody, there are so many things that
Uh,
you do with the kids. Well, the kids are older now, but when they were in school,
oh,
I
brother.
have no freaking clue on how this stuff's working. You know what I mean? No idea. Just what do you mean? Just do your homework. Well, it's like I didn't understand the new math. I didn't
Yeah.
understand all the shit that came with that, and she would take care of it, man. And I'm like, thank. I said, I'll just make the money.
It's a lot of work,
Do your
man. I
thing.
mean,
It
just
is.
talking about staying
God
together
love her.
for 25 plus years, and we're on year 27 this year,
All
so
right.
we're a couple months away from 27, and I think about it's been teamwork. It has
Oh
been
yeah.
once again the like, trust, and respect piece, and
Hmm.
figuring out how each other moves, and not just at one time, but through time, and being able to predict here's what we're looking at in the future. We both have,
Yeah.
and you're I'm not sure how old your parents are, but both my parents are gone, and her mom is in her 90s. So watching and being aware of, hey, this is coming,
Yeah.
and having those
Hmm.
conversations pretty early on about where our parents were in life. Her dad passed when he was in his 60s. My mom passed when she was in her 60s, and then my dad was 82. Her mom's 91. So watching that all happen and being able to have conversations with each other was really important for us as well, and especially now with some things her mom's going through, having an open conversation about expectations of what we look like as we age and what we
Yeah.
want as an older person, you know. So that's part of it as well. It's growing together and predicting what's coming next, and not being afraid to say, here's what I want. Here's what I need from
Yeah.
you.
And not feeling like you can say those things and it's heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And not it's not a confrontation.
But that's tough
You know
at
what I mean?
20, 22,
Yeah.
23, 24, as you're navigating those early years of your own life and trying to figure out,
Hmm.
what do I want? You don't have a freaking clue what you want at 24. Most of us don't. I mean,
Wow. Dude, I wasn't even going to college.
I,
You know,
me either.
I
I,
wasn't like, I'm not going to college. Like, it was never a topic of conversation. It was a question.
yeah.
And my mom was a school teacher.
Right.
Did you even have my mom in
I
high
don't think I
school?
did. I may have, did I
Yeah.
have her as a business
Business
teacher?
class.
Yeah.
Yeah. Business
Yep.
class. Yeah. The question was, hey, you going to go to school? No. Okay. That
Hmm.
was the end of it.
Yeah.
Till some asshole did something that I wanted to kill him for at some factory. And I came home. I said, I am going to school. And she goes, um, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And she wrapped her mind around that financial. I didn't ask her to pay for it. I said, I'm just going to college because I'm not
Yeah.
working in one of these factories the rest of my life. These jerks. So like, it's just the one guy. And I'd probably shake his hand, if I saw him
Yeah.
now.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for,
Yeah.
yeah. And I can still picture his face too. We were building, it was up in Bluffton when we were working at Pace Aero or something like that, building
Okay.
those big RVs.
Oh, you were
But
talking
yeah,
about you were in like a little compartment nailing some stuff down or something, and
yeah, like those compartments that you on the side of an RV, like the ones that you drive, not the campers you pull. There's those little compartments, like a Greyhound bus that lifts
mm-hmm.
up the side, and you put your luggage in there. I was putting that wrap around in there, that trim piece, and there's these like it was like these tracks on the floor, and some guy didn't like the fact that I was working like 3 or 4 jobs ahead. He wanted me to stay in my little station.
Uh-huh.
You get back there where you belong, boy.
Uh-huh.
Almost kind of attitude. And he pushed this solid oak 4x8 platform on the floor, and it just hit my knees. And I was so angry at this guy. And then, but he changed my thought
Yeah.
process, And I
Isn't
just
it
like, you know
interesting
what?
how something is insignificant as
Mm,
that was for him
yeah,
changed the
yeah,
trajectory of your entire life?
yeah. There's just this asshole bullying this 150-pound
Yeah.
kid,
Yeah.
you know? What am I going to do to him? Nothing. You know what I mean? So what I did to him was like, sayonara,
Yeah.
see ya. You're probably going to be working in the factory, which is okay.
Right.
I'm not, that's not the point.
Yep.
You can do that. I'm going to go do this. Thank you. And I did it, and that's how I mean, the fact that I decided to go to college is the fact that, I found out who I was, what I wanted to do, went to LA, met my wife, moved to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania because of her, ended up in E Town where both of my kids were born and raised, have this record store, have this successful real estate career, all of that because of that one instance, if you want to kind of throw it all together.
Craziness. Isn't it?
Right?
It's
Yeah.
just
It's just,
craziness to me.
but we all have that path. That was just mine,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's just,
Hmm.
yeah, it's wild, dude.
Meeting
But
someone
yeah,
from Pennsylvania who knew someone else from Pennsylvania in
yeah,
California that leads you
yeah.
back to there. Just the
It was
craziness of
nuts.
that.
Yeah, because I told you a
Gosh.
little bit about that story. Yeah,
Yeah.
because Tyler, who was my roommate in LA, he was from East. He went to school in Philly. Jody had went to school in Kentucky. I went to school in Chicago. All went to the same little you like LAFSC, Los Angeles Film Study Center, Christian through the Christian Coalition for all these little tiny schools, and we all end up back in E-Town. You know, it's nuts. But I was just Tyler's texting me as we're talking right now.
What are you doing,
But
man?
it's yeah,
Talking
but
about you.
yeah, like yeah, talking about you, bro. That's it. Funny.
Dude, what a
Cool, man.
crazy,
Yeah.
life we have led. As we were talking this whole both times we've had this conversation, all I could think about was riding my bike past your house on my way to my brother's. My brother was married to Rhonda Cross. I don't remember if you remember
Oh,
the Crosses.
oh, I didn't know. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I got a few stories about Rhonda. We'll keep those to
she
ourselves, but
you better because she's a listener. So
yeah.
shout out. But so I would ride my 10 speed out there, and I'd go by, and you guys had that half pipe.
Oh, yeah. My dad
God,
built us that.
man, I was
Yeah.
so jealous. I so wanted a half pipe. Not that I would have ever I would have broke every bone in my body, but
Mm-hmm.
like I was saying, man, there's that part where I didn't think about that 155-pound guy. I thought about that guy
Yeah.
that was wearing cool clothes and had a kick ass ramp and a cool freestyle
Yeah.
bike, right? And that was doing
Yeah.
things I
That was
couldn't
us.
do. So I'm saying
Dude,
it's
that
all
was
that
our life.
perspective. And
Yeah. That's funny. I never knew that.
yeah, so I'd ride by there. I
Did,
was, man, I was so jealous of your half pipe.
dude, you
If
should have
if
swung in,
if
man.
I
Like,
only
did
had a
you
half pipe, I could have done it all.
did you see the half pipe or did you see the quarter pipe?
It might
Probably
have,
both.
I'm sure it was both because I mean, what you did you have the half pipe in high school? Because it was in high school when I had a Schwinn
Both
10
of
speed.
them.
Okay.
The half pipe was a small one that wasn't really built correctly, but my dad, we were all into freestyle. So me and my brother and all of my cousins. So truthfully, most of my friends I hung out with in high school, Kendall Tarr
Yeah.
was one of my best friends in high school, and we still talk now and again, not very often, but I really had hung out with my cousins, and only one of them, Ryan Stevenson, who was a year younger
Yeah.
than us. I hung out with him, and then I hung out with my other cousins and my neighbor Scott Grog. We were all and we all had the bikes. We all had half pipes or quarter pipes and things like that. And we got these bikes for Christmas. I had a Predator Schwinn Predator, orange, bright. My brother fought my parents for this overpriced Mongoose FS1 that he got. It was a badass bike. I was jealous of it. Um, and
That
we
was when
wanted this
Mongoose was
ring.
still Mongoose, though.
Oh hell yeah,
That's where they
dude! Have you
sold
seen
out.
those bikes are selling for like
Dude,
$1,500 to $2,000 right now? It's insane,
it's
right?
crazy. Corey Schaefer's
Yeah,
chasing one down. He was looking for a Californian, I think, or an expert. I've been looking
yeah,
for an SE Basher since
huh?
forever. That's what I had. Biggest,
Yeah,
fattest, heaviest bike. It wasn't like a PK Ripper where it was light.
yeah.
And anyway, go ahead.
That's all right. No, I love it. It's so funny because I follow all those Instagram accounts. I bought the birth of the BMX. Like there's a 3 book series. I
Oh
got all
wow,
but one of them. So yeah, so we that was our life. That's what we did. And we go to the library in the high school, and I find this book, and it's the instructions on how to build a quarter pipe. I mean, it's
uh
everything. Took it home. I said, Dad, this is what we want. And he said, all right. So on a Saturday morning, he started it. And by Saturday afternoon, early evening, he built this whole thing.
oh my god,
I was just like, oh my, can't believe he did this for us, right? Like I mean, and we had to make some tweaks to it because it had this one, like the plywood, it was a new concept to bend the plywood,
hmm
accordingly. So he ripped it and it had this little bump in it instead of being smooth. So we had 3 layers of plywood on it. And my brother had the biggest gonads, man. He would hit that thing 100 mile an hour. He'd fly 5 or 6 feet above the top of that and come back down. And I would just go up, and because my bike was too heavy, and I was too small to handle that heavier bike. I needed my brother's bike,
yeah.
but probably a good thing I didn't have it because I would have killed myself. Um, but yeah, dude, that was so much fun. We had so many like late night, ramp jams out there with the radio playing, and
Yeah,
just having a good time. And kind of fizzled out once we got into the ability to have
a car.
a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of switched to skateboarding.
Okay.
Um, and I used to ride my Riva Raz all the way to Hartford City to
Oh my
Kendall's house.
gosh, man.
Yeah. I'll do it's like 10 miles, but it'll like take me 45 minutes, you know, not trying to get chased by dogs and taking the right
That's right.
path to get there. And I'd go on a Saturday morning. I'd leave early in the morning. We'd go to Kendall's house. We'd spend all day there. We'd skate the entire city of Hartford and wherever down there by. There's that big parking lot by
Oh yeah.
Packensack that we would use that, and then go back home and
Do it all
and
over again
that's what
next
we
week.
do it all. Yeah, do it all over again. That was my life, man. Skateboarding and BMXing for
Oh
years. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And I just thought, as a younger kid with no confidence, you're like, this is my way of, of this is who I am. But you thought like in my head, now I know it's not true, but in my head then I thought like we're the outsiders,
Oh yeah.
no one really appreciates what we're doing. They don't know how to do this, but they're really just making fun of us.
Man,
But
the
I
amount of
don't care.
things
I'm
you
doing it
learned today
anyway.
in the past hour and a half
Right?
about
Never knew you came past our house. I was
yeah.
like, dude, you should have swung in. I would have
Yeah.
thought that was the greatest thing ever. Swing in, brother. Try this. It's awesome.
Man, by the time I got out there on a 10 speed, I was wiped out. I
Yeah,
was
right.
done, you know. Well, I
That's
don't know because
funny.
we'd ride back home, but oh yeah,
Mm.
my bike was so stupid heavy. Had big fat heavy rims and a big fat heavy frame. That thing was
What
built
kind
like
of
a
bike
tank.
was it?
It was an SE Basher. So
I
they
don't even
made a
remember that.
SE made a Bronco, a Basher, a PK Ripper. They made a couple minis as well, like a 24 and a
Yeah.
26-inch bike. But man, that thing I got it from Goldman's Bike Shop over on South Madison Street in
Oh
Muncie.
man, Goldman's, dude.
Yeah.
You brought it back then. So was this a freestyle bike or was this a like a 10 speed or
No, it
something?
was a BMX bike.
I remember
It
the
was just
PK Rippers. I don't remember that Basher.
yeah, it's probably
Goldman's,
one of the
man.
most rare. They had a funky brown color. It was like
Okay.
chocolate. Mine was
Nice.
chrome. Chrome. Then I had like a mongoose crank and drain pipe, seat
Yeah.
post and all that
Dude, that's where we
stuff.
got our bikes from. That's where we got that.
Goldman's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's where everybody went because they had the biggest selection
they
around,
did, and the
you know?
prices were right.
Yeah.
You know, he
Never
just
could
passed
afford the
away.
GT Performance. Yeah.
No,
Oh,
God,
did
no.
he?
Yeah, he passed away like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He was still out
Okay.
in Selma for many many years, but
Selma. Oh my word.
they finally he finally
Yeah.
passed away and
Yeah.
maybe 2 years ago and they shut that down.
Okay.
Yeah, the performer Rod Smith had a GT, I believe, and then the
Yeah.
Bairds, they
Mhm.
always had some badass bikes.
Oh,
Uh, uh,
Andy Baird and his brothers were
oh
they were
man,
beasts. I couldn't believe like we used to ride with them all the time. Like, how do you do this?
I'm telling you,
Like,
just
if I can
incredible.
still do the boomerang,
For
like,
real, nice
yeah, if I
man.
had one, I could still do it. It's like yeah, it's just I just started on the left pedal and just pulling that front brake and just swing around all the way around and land back on. It's been a couple of years since I found a bike that was, that the actual brakes worked on it, but I could still do that. Other than that, it's
Well,
over.
I'm gonna just say it right now, Jody. I'm sorry that I brought up some of these memories because now there's gonna be a BMX freestyle bike somewhere in your husband's
Yeah.
future.
I've
So
already been looking, man. I've been looking. I just like, man, it's like, gosh, I got Gavin's college paid for. I got Gage's. I'm still working
right.
on that. And I'm like, I just can't justify this. What are you going to do with this $2,000 bike from
Oh
the 80s?
God,
Oh,
man,
it's going to hang it on the
it's just a wall
wall. Where
hanger.
at? The living room.
It's a wall hanger.
Yes,
Oh.
exactly.
Jennifer gets so
Funny,
sick of all
dude.
my stupid stuff, man. She's like, I'll just stay out of here.
Yeah. What do you think I have the record store for? I bought all my
Man,
stuff at the house to
dude, it's
here, man.
so
It's
awesome.
awesome.
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
I
I
told her
hope you
the other
guys
night.
can make it out.
Man, I'd love to. We have not made it out. Well, we went to Pittsburgh a few years ago,
Yeah.
to that beer and wine fest, but that was the last time we've been out that way. We typically go southeast or down to Florida, but
Yeah.
we're wanting to branch out and go somewhere different. Um, so
Hershey's got a lot to offer. It's a lot of fun.
yeah, and
Yeah.
could we do a Hershey and then go towards like Niagara Falls?
DC, New York. Yeah,
Does
Niagara
that make
Falls is
sense?
about, well, I mean, I don't, my geography is terrible, but
Yeah.
it's about 5 hours north, I think, maybe
Okay.
5 or 6 hours north. So, like, I don't know. You'd have to do, maybe it feels like a triangle, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I don't know. But I could be completely wrong.
Well,
But we did Niagara Falls.
we I'm not sure if we went through there when we were going to DC. Is that where we go through?
To our house.
Yeah, like through
Yeah,
E-Town,
you would
Elizabethtown.
you wouldn't come directly through here. You'd probably hit like Maryland or something, but
Okay,
you'd come within an hour or so probably of here, I would
okay.
imagine. Again, my sense of direction is like,
But
I can show you. I know where houses are.
right,
Like,
we've been wanting to do another DC trip.
yeah.
We went out to DC 3 years ago and had the Bob Ross painting certified. It's
Oh,
been
do
a
you have one of those?
yeah. So my
Nice.
parents had one. They had bought it at an auction forever
Hmm.
ago, and it had never been, certified or whatever it's called,
Yeah.
authenticated. And so I reached out to the lady that runs Bob Ross Incorporated and said, "Hey, I've got this painting. Pretty confident that it's Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Here's some pictures of it." And she's like, "Can you send me pictures of this piece, that piece?" So I sent her a number of pictures of it. And originally I thought, well, maybe this is an episode piece because it was bought at a PBS auction, I believe. And
Okay.
it's not. The episode pieces are like an 18 by 24. Mine's a 24 by 36.
Okay.
So it's double the size of what that would be. But either way, so we took it out there, and then we took some time and just did a quick DC mall and DC
Yeah.
drive through. But I'd love to spend some more time out there. It's walkable, but boy, you know it when you're done.
Yeah, the museums and everything are still all free, but yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's way bigger. It's a way bigger. I mean, just the Washington Monument and that
My
right there,
gosh, man.
and that reflecting pool is just so massive, and it's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's, so you talk about DC. My brother-in-law's cousin worked for Mitch McConnell. She was
Oh
his,
wow.
yeah, she was right his I don't know what chief of staff is
Okay.
what she was.
Oh wow.
And so yeah, and so given that, like, if this was years ago, um we were able to get into the Capitol and get a tour from her when we went down there goofing around, and we were sitting at his desk and stuff, and like with our feet up and taking pictures. It was funny. And then they got
Wow.
to a couple times they got to over Christmas because everybody's gone. They got to go do the bowling in the White House.
Oh
It was pretty
really?
wild. Yeah,
That's
I never
cool.
got to do that, but yeah,
I've been
small
quite a
world.
few times with the kids doing eighth grade DC trips. Took five of
Yeah,
those, and then just that one time with Jennifer. But I remember going out there in eighth grade. Did you guys do like an eighth grade DC trip? You guys went to
we did
Chicago,
not.
I think.
I think we were in Chicago. We never
Okay.
go to DC.
We Craig Brown went with us to DC in eighth grade.
Well, he would have been. He came from Montpelier,
Yeah, but I think he flew out there
so
with us,
okay. Yeah,
if I remember
I don't know.
correctly. But anyway, but we
Yeah,
flew
I
out
don't know.
back then, and then you did the tour and everything. But we had seventh graders with us. I remember Jennifer Landon's folks. Her mom was
Hmm.
there, and boy, we yucked it up. Gosh, I was I was so dumb, dude. Like I had a joke for everything, and
Yeah,
we had a great time. And she still brings that stuff up when I see Carolyn. It's so hilarious. But I would love to go out there again with Jennifer and just spend like a week to
yeah, just
really take
exploring
it
it.
in. Yeah, because
Hmm.
there's just so
I
much,
heard
man.
that Holocaust Museum's something
Oh,
else. I've never
brother.
been there, but I'd love to go see that.
It is. It gets me every time. So every
I've
time
never
I've
been to
gone,
it.
I've gotten the gots by something else. The first time I
Okay.
went, it was the Vietnam Wall. That
Yeah.
man, that got me big. I had just finished. Um, at that time, I was doing some baseball glove relacing, and
Okay.
I redid a glove for a kid named George Glawson, and it had belonged to his uncle, great uncle maybe,
Oh
um,
wow.
and he had passed in Vietnam. So he has this. I had this ball glove from this guy who passed away in Vietnam, and I restrung it, redid all the leather, and it was brittle. It was in such bad
Mm.
shape, but we were able to get it functional again to where you could actually use it to play
Oh.
catch. And I take it out there, finished it up, went to DC, etched his name off of the wall with a pencil and paper, and then put that with the glove and took it to him at a baseball senior night when he got done with the game that night and handed it off to him.
Oh man,
So
what
yeah,
a great
so as I'm
memory. Yeah.
scratching that guy's name,
Yeah.
I'm a total absolute mess. Number one, because I'd held something that belonged to someone who, died for me, and
Yeah.
how special
Yeah. I
that
got the
was. And
chills thinking about that.
plus, you're seeing all these names, and it's like, oh my gosh, man, it's just such an
Mm-hmm.
impact. The next year I go, and it was a Korean conflict or the Korean War monument that got me. I'm just standing there
Hmm.
crying like a baby. It's like
Yeah.
every
It's
year
just
something else got me.
yeah, see the seasons of your life, it's like you could read something one time and you're like, nah, whatever.
Yeah,
Next time you see it, it's about what you're going through, what I mean? Just like it's like a text message, you send it
yeah,
and someone calls you and like they're like, why are you so pissed off? I'm like, I'm not mad.
yeah,
Well, text message said the same thing, but it's just because of how their day went
yeah,
or their week went,
man.
how they interpreted that. Yeah, that's nuts.
We'd love to get back out there.
Yeah, man. We're here, so
All right,
get
brother.
back home.
Man,
Yeah.
totally exactly what I thought. I predicted it when we got on here. I said this is going to be a wonky conversation. I'm just in that.
It's
I'm in
completely
the groove
opposite of
today.
last time.
It is
It's
two
good stuff,
totally
though.
different conversations. It's like, God, man, we should have got back to some of that stuff, but I'm so glad we didn't at
Yeah.
the same time because we ran into some
Yeah.
really, really great things. But, man, it's great seeing you. And
You
and
too,
I
brother.
hope we do
Yeah.
this again. And
Yeah.
if I'm not sure who's doing the class reunion in a couple years. I've bowed out of that. But
Okay.
I'll make sure they get a hold of you. I told everybody at our last class reunion that I didn't realize it was a life sentence. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think they always do a good job of reaching out. It's typically the timing of when these
it's hard.
were, and it's not like I can go and come back in the same day,
Yeah,
even if it's a long day. I mean, it's a day there, and then it's that reunion, and then it's a day back. And I mean, I'm sure all of our spouses feel the same way. It's
yeah,
just like Jody's like, I'll go, but I don't expect you to know any of these people,
right.
and I don't really know any of them like I used to. So it's fun though, and I should definitely um I went to the 20th one thinking that would have, in my head, for whatever stupid reason, that was going to be the big one, but it was the 25th one that was actually
Yeah,
the bigger of the two. Um, but I think when I went to the 20th one, it was at some casino
yeah,
down in
yep, yeah.
yeah,
They did a
somewhere down
great
there. But
job with that. That was
yeah,
Jenny and Trista and a couple other folks put
yeah,
that together. They did a wonderful job, and maybe they'll pick up the ball
yeah,
on this next one and do
yeah,
something fun again.
good stuff, man.
All right, brother.
So
Good to see you. Stay
you
out of
too,
trouble.
brother.
I'm out of here.
Have a good weekend.
You too,
Later.
buddy.
See you. Bye.